All right, let's get one thing straight. No matter how many times you've flown, no matter how seasoned a traveler you think you are, the moment you step into that airport security line, you're entering a world governed by a unique blend of law, logic, and occasional baffling absurdity. It's a place where a forgotten tube of toothpaste can derail your entire morning, where the wrong pair of shoes can mean a pat-down that feels more invasive than a dental exam, and where the difference between a smooth journey and a missed flight often comes down to knowing a set of rules that seem to change just as you've finally memorized them. I've stood in those lines in every conceivable state, bleary-eyed at 4 a.m., frazzled after a delayed connection, smugly prepared with my liquids bag neatly displayed, and I've seen it all. The business traveler who has to surrender a $200 bottle of cologne, the family with a stroller that becomes a dismantling project worthy of an engineering degree. The college student who learns the hard way that CBD is legal, man, doesn't hold water at the TSA checkpoint. By the end of this, you're going to know not just the rules, but the rhythm of the airport. You're going to understand the why behind the what, and that knowledge is going to save you time, money, and an incredible amount of stress. So, I have to ask you right at the start, what's your single biggest TSA horror story? The item you lost, the delay you caused, the misunderstanding that left you red-faced and scrambling? Go ahead and share it in the comments below. I read every single one, and I guarantee your experience isn't as unique as you think. But hold on to that thought, because what I'm about to walk you through is the comprehensive, no-nonsense guide to making sure that story never repeats itself. We're going deep, far beyond the basic 311 mantra. We're talking about the nuances, the officer's perspective, the upcoming tech changes, and the little-known loopholes that can make your journey seamless. Stick with me, because some of what I'll reveal later about biometrics and the real reason they swab your hands will completely change how you approach the airport. First, let's dismantle the biggest myth right now, the idea that TSA rules are static. Think of them less as carved-in-stone commandments and more as a living document, a response to evolving threats, technology, and sheer passenger volume. The TSA of 2026 isn't the TSA of 2019. The pandemic accelerated changes, new screening technologies are coming online, and passenger behavior has shifted. What worked last year might earn you a secondary screening this year. The core principles remain, but the execution and emphasis are always in flux. This is why so many people get tripped up. They rely on outdated blog posts or a friend's advice from 5 years ago. My goal here is to give you a framework that is current for 2026 and adaptable for the years to come, rooted in how the system actually operates on the ground. Let's start with the universal constant, the thing that causes more checkpoint chaos than anything else: liquids. The 311 rule is recited like a mantra, but how many people truly understand it? 3.4 ounces, 1 quart-sized bag, 1 bag per passenger. It's simple, right? Yet, the bins are perpetually full of half-full 12-ounce shampoo bottles and giant moisturizer jars. The mistake is thinking in terms of how much is left. The rule is about container size. If your sunscreen bottle says 150 milliliters, that's 5 ounces. It's prohibited, even if it's 99% empty. The officer isn't going to weigh it or estimate the volume. They're looking at the label. Period. The reasoning is rooted in the chemistry of potential threats. The concern is about the potential volumetric capacity of the container, not the actual content at that second. Now here's a nuance most miss: the quart-sized bag. It must be clear, plastic, and sealable. A gallon bag is not allowed. A folded-over sandwich bag that doesn't seal fully is asking for trouble. And that 1 bag per passenger rule is strictly enforced. You can't have your liquid split between your carry-on and your personal item. It all must be consolidated into that single quart-sized bag, and it must be taken out of your luggage and placed in a bin. Every time, no matter what line you're in. I see people in TSA pre-check lanes get cocky and leave their bag in their suitcase. Sometimes it slides through, but increasingly, the new computed tomography, CT scanners, are so sensitive they'll flag it. And now you're waiting for a bag search while the pre-check line sails past you. The humiliation is worse than the delay. Speaking of exceptions, they do exist, and knowing them is power. Medications, baby food, and medically necessary liquids are exempt from the 311 rule. But, and this is a massive but, you must declare them to the officer before screening begins. Don't just bury a giant bottle of liquid insulin in your backpack. As you approach the divestment tables, say clearly, "I have medically exempt liquids and medications in my bag." This prompts a specific procedure. They will likely need to screen them separately, possibly with a vapor test. It takes an extra minute, but it's a minute well spent compared to having your crucial medication confiscated because you didn't speak up. For baby food, the same applies. You can bring reasonable quantities, enough for the flight and potential delays, but have it ready for inspection. The key is communication. The TSA isn't out to steal your baby's formula or your life-saving medicine, but they are out to enforce procedures. If you don't follow the procedure, you become a problem to be solved, not a passenger to be assisted. Now, let's talk about electronics, because the landscape here is shifting dramatically. The old rule of laptops out, tablets can stay is crumbling. It's now entirely dependent on the technology at your specific checkpoint. You have two primary types of scanners, the older X-ray machines and the newer CT scanners. The CT scanners, which look like large circular portals your bag goes into, are a game changer. They create a 3D image that an officer can rotate and zoom into. For these, you often do not need to remove laptops, tablets, or even your liquids bag. Everything can stay in your luggage, but you must know which scanner you're facing. Look at the lanes. If you see people happily zipping their bags shut without pulling anything out, you're likely at a CT lane. If you see the familiar flat conveyor belts leading into a boxy machine, it's the old X-ray, and the old rules apply. When in doubt, ask the officer at the divestment table, "Do you need laptops out today?" It's a simple question that shows you're paying attention. The worst thing you can do is assume. Assuming the new rules apply everywhere will get your bag flagged at an old scanner. Assuming the old rules apply at a new scanner will slow you down unnecessarily and annoy everyone behind you. This is a perfect example of why airport awareness is as important as rule memorization. Look up from your phone, assess the lane, and adapt. Power banks and loose batteries bring their own special kind of anxiety. The rule is firm. All spare lithium-ion batteries must be in your carry-on baggage. Never, under any circumstances, check them. The risk of fire in the cargo hold is catastrophic. The batteries in your devices are fine, but any spares or large external power banks must be with you. There's a watt-hour rating limit, 100 watt for most, up to 160 watt with airline approval. But for the vast majority of consumer power banks, you're fine. The real issue is how you pack them. They should be protected from short-circuiting. That means keeping the terminals covered, ideally in their original packaging or a dedicated battery case. Throwing a bunch of loose AAs and a power bank into a bag full of keys and coins is a great way to start a thermal event at 30,000 feet and become a story on the nightly news. Be sensible. The TSA may ask to inspect them, so don't bury them at the bottom of a tightly packed bag. Shoes, belts, jewelry, and outerwear. The divestment dance. The universal rule is this: if it's thicker than a light sweater or jacket, off it goes. Bulky sweaters, hoodies, blazers, coats, they all go in the bin. They provide too much concealment area and can obscure the body scanner's image. Belts with large metal buckles? Off? Shoes? Here's where TSA PreCheck pays its weight in gold. For most travelers in standard lanes, shoes must come off unless you are 12 or under or 75 and over. But it's not just about age. Certain types of shoes are alarm bells. Boots with thick soles, platform shoes, or any footwear with complex structure are practically guaranteed to get a second look. The scanner can't see through dense rubber and air pockets easily. I've seen officers spend minutes examining a pair of chunky sneakers. If you're traveling and want efficiency, wear simple, slip-on shoes. As for jewelry, small pieces are fine, but large metal necklaces, bracelets, or watches should go in your bag or the bin. It's not just about triggering the metal detector, it's about creating a clear image in the body scanner. A big pendant can look like an anomaly, leading to a pat-down. Ah, the pat-down. The single most dreaded part of the process for many. Let's demystify it. A pat-down is not a punishment. It's a resolution. It happens when the scanner detects an anomaly, a dense area that the system cannot clear. Or if you opt out of the scanner, or if you trigger the metal detector. The officer will explain what they're going to do, and they will use the backs of their hands for sensitive areas. You can request a private screening, and you can have a witness of your choice present. My strong, opinionated advice? Unless you have a principled objection to the scanner, just go through it. The pat-down is slower, more intrusive, and often draws more attention. If you do get one, the best thing you can do is stay still. Let the officer complete their work and don't argue. Arguing about your rights in the middle of a checkpoint is a fantastic way to miss your flight. Your recourse is afterward through the TSA's complaint process. The checkpoint is for compliance, not debate. Food is a huge gray area for travelers. Can you bring it? Almost always, yes. But how you pack it matters. Solid foods, sandwiches, fruit, granola bars, cookies are generally fine. The problem arises with food that has a creamy or gel-like consistency. Yogurt, pudding, hummus, creamy cheeses, peanut butter, yes, even the natural kind that separates. Jams and soup fall into the spreadable category and are subject to the liquids rule. If it's over 3.4 ounces and spreadable, it's staying behind. A good rule of thumb: if you can spill it, pour it, or spread it, it's likely a liquid in TSA's eyes. Pack that fancy pâté in your checked bag. Also, be prepared for your food to get a second look. A dense, lumpy, organic mass in your bag looks suspicious on an X-ray. I always pack my food in an easily accessible part of my carry-on, and sometimes even put it in a separate bin to avoid a bag search. It signals to the officer, "This is just my lunch, not a security threat." Now let's delve into the controversial, confusing, and often mismanaged world of prohibited items. The list on the TSA website is exhaustive, but people still try to bring the wildest things. The most common mistakes are tools and sporting goods. A wrench or screwdriver under 7 inches is usually okay. Over that, it's a no-go. Anything that could be used as a bludgeon or a weapon is out. Baseball bats, golf clubs, hockey sticks, check them. Martial arts equipment, check it. As for self-defense items, forget it. Pepper spray, mace, brass knuckles, throwing stars, these are strictly prohibited in carry-ons. Some are allowed in checked baggage under specific conditions, like pepper spray with a small percentage of agent. But why risk it? The real headache comes from items that feel harmless. A snow globe? If it holds less than 3.4 ounces of liquid and fits in your quart bag, it's technically allowed. But good luck explaining that to an officer who sees a liquid-filled sphere. I say, just don't. It's a souvenir, not a necessity. Check it or buy it at your destination. Weapons are an absolute zero-tolerance area, and the definition is broad. A tactical pen, a credit card knife, a belt buckle that conceals a blade, these will get you arrested, not just your item confiscated. You will miss your flight, you will likely face fines, and you could be charged. The TSA finds thousands of firearms and carry-ons every year, and the vast majority are from people who claim they forgot. Ignorance is not a defense. If you are traveling with a firearm, it must be declared at your airline check-in counter, unloaded, locked in a hard-sided case, and packed according to very specific airline and TSA regulations. This is not a casual process. Know the law of your departure and arrival states. This is one area where guessing is catastrophic. Let's talk about the human element, the TSA officers themselves. They have a difficult, monotonous, and often thankless job. They see thousands of faces a day, most of them stressed and impatient. Your attitude matters profoundly. Being polite, following instructions, and having your stuff ready is the fastest way through the line. Being belligerent, filming them, and quoting statutes you read online is the fastest way to a full, granular inspection of your entire life, packed into one roller bag. They have discretion. If you're polite and make a minor mistake, a forgotten water bottle, they might just toss it and send you on your way. If you're hostile, that same mistake becomes a reason to examine every pocket, every pill bottle, every folded piece of paper. They are not your enemy, but they are the gatekeepers. Treat them with the respect their authority demands, even if you're frustrated. This brings us to identity and documentation. In 2026, the Real ID requirement is finally, truly, and absolutely in force. Your standard driver's license from a non-compliant state will not get you through airport security for a domestic flight. You need a Real ID-compliant license, marked with a star, a passport, a military ID, or another TSA-approved form of identification. Check this now. Don't wait until the day of your flight. Have your boarding pass and ID ready in your hand when you approach the podium. Fumbling in your wallet while a line builds up behind you is a rookie move. Also, your boarding pass and ID name must match exactly. A middle initial on one but not the other can sometimes cause a hiccup. If you've recently changed your name due to marriage or other reasons, bring documentation, like a marriage certificate, especially if your ticket doesn't match your ID yet. Better safe than stranded. The future, which is already present in many airports, is biometrics. Clear is the private company partner, but the TSA itself is rolling out more facial recognition technology. You'll look into a camera, it will match your face to your ID, and you'll proceed. It's fast, the privacy concerns are real, and you can opt out, reverting to the standard ID check. But the trend is undeniable. Biometrics are the direction of travel. The data, according to TSA, is used only for that one-time verification, and then deleted. In the case of TSA systems, understand Clear's privacy policy is separate. This technology will only expand, so understanding it is key. It's not mandatory, but it is efficient. One of the most mysterious procedures is the swabbing of your hands or your luggage. This is an explosives trace detection, ETD test. They're looking for microscopic residues of explosives. Common triggers: fireworks residue, even from weeks ago, certain fertilizers, gardeners, beware, and some types of gunpowder. It's random, but it can also be triggered if you've handled certain chemicals. If you test positive, it doesn't mean you're a terrorist. It means you need to explain where the residue came from. Be honest. I was at a fireworks show last weekend. Or, I was cleaning my guns before the trip, will lead to further screening, but likely not an arrest if you're telling the truth. Lying, however, is a one-way ticket to a very bad day. Traveling with special items requires forethought. Musical instruments are a classic point of contention. Small ones can go in the overhead. Large ones, like guitars, require their own seat. You must buy a ticket for them. Don't try to sneak a cello into the cabin. Talk to your airline well in advance. Film equipment, expensive cameras, delicate artifacts,